Hello and welcome back. This is another 5th and 6th grade decimals video. This video focuses on how to convert decimals into fractions. Okay, here is our first example. We're going to take the decimal 0.09 and we're going to rewrite it as a fraction. Okay, so let me write it a little bit bigger here, 0.09. So when we're writing decimals into fractions, we can use place values to tell us what denominator to give that fraction. So since this fraction ends in the hundredths place, that means that the denominator of the fraction is going to be 100. So that's what I mean is we use the place value to tell us. If the decimal stopped here in the tenths place, we would use 10. If it stopped over here in the thousandths place, we would use 1000. So where the decimal ends tells us what number we're going to use as the denominator. So now what I just have to do is put what's on the decimal part, 0.9, on top. Now, a 0 in front of the 9 has no value, so I can actually get rid of that and put it right here on the top. So 0.09 written as a fraction would be 9 over 100. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to write 0.25 as a simplified fraction. So what that means is first we write it as a fraction and then we simplify it if we can. So let's take 0.25 and first let's see what place value it ends in. So this would be the tenths place and the hundredths place. So it looks like it finishes up in the hundredths place. What that means is we're going to use a denominator of 100 and then we're just going to take the whole decimal part and put it on top of that denominator. So 0.25 written as a fraction is 25 over 100. But I do have to simplify it. So I know I can divide both 25 and 100 by 5, and I can also divide them both by 25. So I'm going to try that. Divide by 25, divide by 25. Well, 25 divided by 25 is 1, and 100 divided by 25 is 4. So the final answer to this would be 1/4. Okay, here's our next example. We're going to write 0.5 as a simplified fraction. So first we'll start to write it as a fraction and then we'll simplify it. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite 0.5 here, and then I'm going to look for which place value it ends in. That would be right here, and that is the tenths place. So what that means is I'm going to use 10 as my denominator, and then I'm going to take the decimal portion and put it right on top. So 0.5 written as a fraction would be 5 over 10. Now, if I simplify it, I can divide both the top and the bottom by 5. So I'm going to take the top and divide it by 5, and the bottom divide it by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. So simplified, this would end up being 1/2. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to write 0.05 as a simplified fraction. So again, I'm going to rewrite the decimal here, 0.05, and then I see that the decimal finishes up in the hundredths place. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself a denominator of 100. Then I'm going to take the decimal part and put it on top of that. I don't need the 0 in front, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a 5 there. Now I know I can divide both 5 and 100 by 5, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. So the final answer here would be 1/20. Okay, here is our next one. We're going to write 0.1 as a simplified fraction. So let me rewrite 0.1 here. Now I notice that this decimal ends in the tenths place. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a denominator of 10 and then put the decimal portion right on top. Now 1/10 is already simplified. So that would be my final answer. 0.1 becomes 1/10. Okay, here's our next example. This time we're going to be using a decimal that has some numbers in the whole number positions and how we interpret those into mixed numbers. Okay, so we have 7.43, and we're going to rewrite that as a mixed number. So the 7 is in the ones place. That means that's going to become the whole number of our mixed number. Now for the decimal part, I noticed it ends in the hundredths place. So I'm going to give it a denominator of 100. And then I'm just going to put that decimal portion right on top. I'll check to see if it can be simplified, but I don't think that I can. So I'm just going to put it right here next to the 7. and this would be our final answer. So 7.43 written as a mixed number would be 7 and 43 over 100. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to write 8.4 as a simplified mixed number. So let's start with the 8. 8 is in the ones position, so that's going to be our whole number for our mixed number. Then for the decimal, we notice that it ends in the tenths place. So that means it's going to be over 10, and we're going to put that decimal portion right on top. So this becomes 8 and 4/10. So now when we simplify, we wouldn't simplify or do anything to the whole number, but we know that the top and the bottom can both be divided by 2. So I'm going to do that, which gives me 2 over 5. So final answer here would be 8 and 2/5. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to write 6.9 as a simplified mixed number. So I'm going to start with the 6, which is in the 1 spot. So 6 is going to be the whole number. The decimal ends in the tenths place, so I'm going to give it a denominator of 10, and then put what's in the decimals on top of that. Now, neither 9 or 10 can be divided by the same number, so we are actually finished. The simplified mixed number for this would be 6 and 9 over 10. Okay, here is our next example. We're going to take 7.25 and rewrite it as a simplified mixed number. So 7 is in the whole number spot, so that's going to be right there. That's going to be our whole number. The decimal part ends in the hundredths place. So I'm going to give it a denominator of 100 and put the decimal numbers on top of that. Now I know I can simplify this if I divide both 25 and 100 by 25. So I'm going to divide this by 25 and this by 25, which gets me 1 over 4. So the final answer here would be 7 and 1/4. Okay, here's our next one and our last example for today's video. We're going to write 6.6 as a simplified mixed number. So let's start with the 6 in the ones place, which becomes our whole number. The decimal goes out to the tenths place, so I'm going to put 10 as the denominator, and I'm going to put that 6 from the decimals on top of it. So I know that I can divide both 6 and 10 by 2, so I'm going to do that to simplify. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that means our final answer would be 6 and 3/5. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope to see you in another video soon.